What's up, guys? Jeremy Kane, Real Estate Agent Playbook. Super excited to share this information with you today. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. On the podcast, please feel free to leave me a review if you get something out of this episode. And as always, there's a free mini course linked in the comments or the show notes below. This is about my sphere of influence journey and building a sphere of influence the right way, and some tips and tricks that I use absolutely free in the mini course below. So check that link out. So why don't you grab a beer, settle down like an old Irish story starts, and we'll get into this one. All right, so as a young realtor, I was 29 when I got my license, and I'm sitting there kind of thinking about what all this new career has in mind. I was in education and corrections prior to that, and it was a little bit different, right? I was technically my own boss. I kind of had all of my success in my hands. And I was lucky enough to be under my father as a managing broker, and he taught me everything I needed to know, from contracts to doing the business right to industry partnerships to all of the things that I needed on the day-to-day to be a successful real estate agent in the state of Colorado. What my dad didn't have, because he became a managing broker so quickly, was a vast idea or repertoire of how to build the business how I wanted to, right? As I mentioned, he's a little bit older in the beginning, so I really was in search of how I should market myself, and that was on me, right? You can't do everything, right? So even though he's my dad, you can't do everything there. So as I kind of got to looking, I actually had an agent who was at my same brokerage who was doing the Peak Producers program, and I thought about it and I looked into it and I was like, okay, well, at least this guy sounds cool, Brian Buffini. He's super smart. He's been a real estate agent. And I'm going to tell you right now that a lot of the real estate coaches out there that people sell have never sold a house in their life. So that was super important to me to know that Brian and his colleague Joe Nego, who came in and out of the Peak Producers program and is kind of Brian's sidekick, had absolutely sold homes, and they were providing this system to appropriately market yourself. And it wasn't a system based on algorithms or buying ads or leads or newspaper articles or whatever. It was a system based on managing the people that were important to you. In my first 0 to 6 months, I didn't have any new clients that I didn't know before I was in real estate. So I was kind of down that sphere of influence, route. At that point, I was using sphere of influence as a pillar of my business, which, as you know, is kind of one of my things that isn't really reality. But as I kind of got into it, I dove into the Buffini program, and as I went to those classes that were hosted at my old brokerage by an agent, not by the broker, I really came to like it. And like I said, Brian Buffini had sold homes. I related to him. He was an Irish guy like me, and it was great because it all resonated with me. It made sense. It was all about living the good life and taking care of people and creating raving fans, which I'm a big sports guy. So creating raving fans was kind of my passion to begin with. So as I dove in, it was really cool to see how he really separated the business, because okay, I had all of the legalities, all of the contracts, all of this stuff over here. And the truth is, as what he says in that Peak Producers program, which has since been updated, is you are the CEO, you're the COO, you're the CFO, you're also the janitor, all the things. And the CFO thing was really interesting to me. Like, oh, this is actually a business, right? I have a managing broker who's technically my boss, but this is my business. And so as I went through that Peak Producers program, I learned so much, and I use some of the stuff today every single day, both in my agent training when I'm training agents, to manage their sphere of influence. If you're interested in how I turn transactions into referrals, check out this video right here. We're not going to dive fully into that today, but it's really cool when you step back and think, oh, you are an entrepreneur. You do have to wear all these hats, and you have to do everything as a new real estate agent because you don't have a lot of money, because you're paid on closings and you don't have the experience to either, market yourself appropriately or get the clients right away to close the deal. So sometimes you have to share, transactions. I did get one transaction under my belt that I worked with my dad. It was a listing. And after that, it hasn't been too much. We've probably crossed paths and done 2 or 3 other deals together out of the 400 I've done in 9 years. So as I kind of developed through the Buffini program, I was all in, right? I had the organization, I had the CFO piece, I had all of that. The CFO piece that I keep referring to, I'll just dive into it, is, the act of having a business checking account, having a business savings account, prorating some of your money out for taxes. As a real estate agent, they don't take taxes from your check because you're not an employee, you're an entrepreneur. So that was super impactful to me, and I still practice some of that to this day, and we'll talk about that in a second. So full on Buffini, I was in the referral maker CRM, I was doing the things, I was getting the items of value, I was licking envelopes and licking stamps and sending things out every month, writing a little bit of a letter that is provided to you by the Buffini piece, putting a cool letterhead on it to kind of individualize it a little bit. I was doing pop buys, I was doing personal notes. I still have some because I was in the Buffini program for so long, and the honest truth is I probably didn't hit all those metrics, but the foundation of my entire business came from this time, and I was all in, and it worked, right? I started seeing, I did a 6-figure year, my first full year in real estate, and it's been increasing ever since. So hopefully we've set the bar pretty high this year, and we're still driving for that, even though now I'm helping agents kind of put this into play as well with my group at the Wolfpack, coaching and doing all the things that I'm passionate about, but also building that real estate business. And the truth is that it's almost on autopilot. I mean, you have to do a lot of the things manually. You still have to do handwritten notes, and you still have to be present in your real estate business. But as it kind of exponentially grows, people are referring to you, and they're just doing it, right? So it keeps kind of coming in, and as it goes, it's pretty powerful. So this was the Brian Buffini vision, and that's absolutely what I got when I was full in. I saw the power of working by referral, living the good life, all of the Buffini things. And I still, to this day, when I'm a little bit, down or, don't feel the energy, I throw on the Buffini podcast. He's got the crazy punk rock Irish music to get going. And it's just awesome, right? It reminds me of my grandparents and, my family back in Ohio. Talks about the Irish blessing and, all that stuff, which is super powerful and important to me, as well as this dude literally changed my life through his marketing tactics. So as I kind of transitioned out of the Buffini, full-on Buffini program, the only reason I did that is because I felt like the items of value kind of were repeating. I needed something different. I knew that my clients probably weren't opening that item of value. Probably my fault for not following up and making it a point of conversation and that kind of stuff. But I transitioned out of the Buffini, CRM and the model, but all of those things are still very foundational. So I like to say that I broke up with Buffini, but we're still friends because I used some of the stuff I learned. I still am certified to train in his courses, and so it's just a part of my business. And I've kind of expanded out in the social media. Obviously, Buffini doesn't talk about YouTube channels and peak producers because YouTube didn't exist. But I've kind of done some things that were all there, and it's all about the touches, right? And Buffini knows that. And the touches within the Buffini program let me tell you something, our attention span has changed a lot since the Peak Producers program and the Buffini coaching system got going. They have adapted. They do have different, coaching tactics and models. I have not gone through those programs quite yet, but I do know that they are modernizing. And if you're just starting out, there's probably not a better program to go through than Brian Buffini's. So that's where I kind of broke up, but we're still friends because everything I do still goes back to working by referral and managing those relationships and managing those top tier clients. And so as we kind of get through this and my progression, the impact on my business is absolutely there. I just have increased. And, so I have 52 touches on an email. I have a weekly live video that goes out. I have, 2 videos a week that go out to my production, side of my business. And all of those things, I have client events and business relationships. And that's the honest truth is, one of my biggest lead generators is my industry partners. If you're watching now, my business industry partners, those lenders, inspectors, all of those people that I work with, my contractors, shout out, throw me a like if you are watching right now and you're one of those people, if you made it this far. But how to manage that relationship and kind of give in order to get, right? A lot of lenders are asked all the time for, leads and all this stuff. I pour in, I help people build business. I take some of the things from the business mixer of the Peak Producers program and I utilize them in a more modern, strategy today. But my whole goal in all of my business is to drive business to those people, because if you give, then you will absolutely be, rewarded with what you want. If you help somebody build their entire business or you're a part of that, then they're going to obviously appreciate that and return the favor. So that's kind of where it all came from. And that's what I do in my business today that absolutely makes this difference. And so the 2 old Irish guys, my dad and Brian Buffini, absolutely have given me pretty much everything I needed, the keys to the car, to drive it forward. And then I've partnered with guys like Mike Sherrard and Connor Steinbrook, Louis Galt at the Wolfpack, and that has just exponentially grown my business, right? It's always, you have a foundation and then first floor, second floor, third floor. If you're constantly improving and constantly, tweaking and doing the things that'll change, now it's on to, George Bryant stuff and managing client journey and really taking all of my knowledge from Dad, Buffini, Mike. Now it's like, okay, let's put it all together in a client journey and absolutely do that. So stay tuned, because I will have episodes on this podcast or YouTube channel about how I'm building out a client journey that will be mine and be something that works for my business, that hopefully agents in my downline and agents everywhere can take a look at and tweak to theirs. So we got big plans coming, so stay tuned for that. Check out the free mini course on my sphere development and how I do that. A lot of the Buffini foundational pieces are in that, and it's cool, just cool tips and tricks. So thanks so much for tuning in today. Throw me a review if you're listening on podcasts, and I'm super excited to help you win at the game of real estate every single day. Bye-bye.